A maior chegada da história das 24 horas de Le Mans, onde Jacky Ickx com seu Ford GT40 número 6, que dividiu com Jack Oliver, perseguiu de forma alucinada o Porsche 908 número 64 de Hans Hermann, que teve como parceiro Gerard Larousse, nas últimas horas da prova, para travar uma batalha épica pela primeira posição, com os pilotos a trocarem de posição constantemente. Ickx conseguiu superar Hermann, que vinha com problemas nos freios, faltando 5 km para receber a quadriculada. Jack venceu por míseros 120 metros de vantagem sobre Hans, e pensaram que o piloto belga quase morreu na semana da corrida, quando seu Porsche 911 de passeio bateu em um poste e ficou totalmente destruído. Jacky Ickx saiu ileso. A seguir, os melhores momentos da prova de 1969, das 24 horas de Le Mans de 1969.
The Moton Straight, 3.2 miles, one of the fastest racing straights in the world, part of the course on which one of the world's premier automobile endurance races is held. You have the sensation of traveling at 160 miles an hour down the Moton Straight at Le Mans. It is now 10 p.m. in France, and the 37th running of the 24 hours of Le Mans well along, in fact, one-third over. Some of the world's fastest cars whipping through the night, their lights flashing past a crowd of some 200,000 people scattered around the 8-plus mile road course. They came early for the start of this famous automobile endurance race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, via satellite in color from France, today on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports. Brought to you by Wins Charge, the honey-thick oil treatment for your car. Charge restores compression for smooth performance. Wins Charge. By Weyerhaeuser, the company that's working on tomorrow's ideas in pulp, paper, packaging, lumber, plywood, and other building materials. And by Ford and your Ford dealer, #1 in truck sales. In trucks, too, Ford is the going thing.
The 24 Hours of Le Mans, thundering along through the night. The weather dry and comfortable. Also today on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you'll see Mickey Mantle, the great Yankee, talking with Howard Cosell, reflecting a memorable moment for him. Hello, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson. The microphone has to be held close here in Le Mans. It's that loud, it's that noisy, it's that exciting. With me is Phil Hill, a man who drove competitively here in the Le Mans 16 times. He finished and won 3 times. And the giants are at it, Phil. Porsche, Ford, Ferrari.
It looks like it's certainly just going to be a race.
The Fords cruising along, having themselves a good time back in the pack. Porsche came with a squadron. They have lost some. They still have half of that squadron running, or more than half of it. Porsche is trying to win its first Le Mans.
Well, they certainly are here in strength this year. It's the first time that they've ever been here with engines as large as 4.5 liters.
This is the way it looks right now. These are the standings, and as you can see, it's pretty much Porsche. Vic Elford and Dick Atwood in Porsche number 12. That is a 917. That's a 4.5 liter. That's the big one. Porsche number 23, Schutz and Mitter. Porsche number 22, Hausen and Lenz. That's the way the leaders stand right now, 1 through 3. As for the cars that are out of it right now, let's switch to our colleague Chris Economaki in the Le Mans pit.
The Porsche may be leading the race, but it's not all peaches and cream. Porsches may be leading the race, but it's not all peaches and cream for this mark from Germany. The number 14, 917, which set a track record in qualifying and led the early laps, is way back in the pack with a number of problems, including engine trouble, and now the bodywork is falling off the car. One other Porsche, a 908 bobtail model driven by Joe Siffert and Brian Redmond, was in the lead for a while, and it's out of the race now. A broken oil pipe allowed its transmission to run dry. Another Porsche driven by Hans Hermann has had its entire front end rebuilt and is back in the pack. And still another Porsche is limping along with other problems, but yet they're in front. A first lap crash took out one of the 917s, a private entry, and in that crash, a Ferrari, number 19, was eliminated with Chris Economaki. It's interesting to see that the Alfa Romeo team has lost one automobile, and the Matras from France, one car is out, many are still running, and the French people here at Le Mans are hoping that one of these blue cars comes in first. Now, back to you, Keith Jackson.
Thank you, Chris. And in that crash, in the first lap, in the Porsche 917, 32-year-old John Wolfe, Great Britain, was killed. He owned the car. The weather has been dry and comfortable. In fact, one of the most comfortable days in history here at Le Mans, Phil.
A very peculiar day, Keith. Usually either clear in the daytime, foggy at night, or maybe lots of thunder showers and things. But today's been sort of like a day in Southern California in May or June. Overcast all day, no threat of rain.
We have that major moment in every Le Mans race coming up, the start, and we'll see that in just a moment.
This is the 1969 Ford pickup, and here's a demonstration of why it works like a truck, rides like a car. We've set up a rough, bone-jarring road punctuated with 4x4s. Running next to it, a wall of light bulbs, a lower course and an upper course. A rod is attached to the front wheel spindle to ride between the bulbs in the lower course. Another rod is attached to the cab to ride between the upper bulbs. Now, watch as the pickup starts over the run. See, the bumps are wiping out the bulbs in the lower row, but the rod attached to the smooth-riding cab hasn't touched the upper bulb. That's because Ford's exclusive twin I-beam front suspension steps over bumps independently, smooths them out so you get a cushiony car-like ride. Let's watch again in slow motion, as only bulbs in the lower row get broken. Test drive the 1969 Ford pickup. Works like a truck, rides like a car.
Well, this is Keith Jackson along with Phil Hill and Chris Economaki as you watch the 24 hours of Le Mans via satellite in color from France, the placings of the cars. Porsche number 12 leads, Porsche 23 is second, Porsche 22 is third, Matra, number 35, is running in fourth place, Ford is in fifth, Matra, a French car, is running sixth, Ferrari is running seventh, and Porsche number 64 is running eighth. Tomorrow, the presidential elections in France. The precedent broken today here at Le Mans. The race started at 2 instead of the usual 4. And this was the picture at that time just before the start of Le Mans. The colors of international automobile racing fluttering atop the standards at the world's most famous race course, the permanent circuit at Sarthe, site of the 24 hours of Le Mans. Le Mans, the ultimate in endurance, and the lull, if you can have a lull at a moment like this before the storm, Bill.
Very strange, always just before the start, just the final few seconds before the flag drops. There's an absolutely deathly silence that occurs here. You can almost hear a pin drop.
An incredible crowd waiting for the start. The drivers, all those in the pit area about to be shooed out. The heartbeat, of course, is the pit area in any endurance race, and there we find the publisher of National Speed Sport News, Chris Economaki.
Thanks, Keith. France has never had an election day like this. The signs around this magnificent circuit are of tires, gasolines, cigarettes, and oil, but not of the candidates Pompidou and Pohe. A biggest crowd, perhaps the biggest in history, is here, and the gendarmes have just pushed them back behind the walls. Perhaps the big crowd is because for the first time since 1950, France may have a winning car. All of the Frenchmen are watching the pale blue Matras in the 24 hours today. Now, back to you, Keith Jackson.
The exploits of racing men legendary in the 24 hours of Le Mans. The permanent circuit of Sarthe certainly a part of that legend. 8.36 miles in total length. The famous Le Mans start occurs right here at the start-finish line. This group of buildings, that's where the work is done on the cars, too. the pit area is open between the work on the cars and the traffic. And we move out now and travel around the course with a man who competed here 16 times, Phil Hill.
After leaving the start and finish line, there's a very fast bend here. Used to pass under Dunlop Bridge right about this point, but in recent years they've moved the bridge on up to the top of the hill, where the cars are, well, the faster cars are almost airborne here. We sort of give a little leap up in the air, and then you've got to start thinking about getting slowed down for this series of bends ahead called the S's. Much better view through the S's this year than in recent years than before, because they've done away with a lot of the earth and embankment and put guardrails very much around the circuit. Leaving this turn, you head towards a turn that leads onto the long Mouzon Straight called Perte Rouge, about a 70-mile-an-hour right-hand bend. It's the first really sharp turn on the circuit after leaving the start and finish line.
On the Mouzon Straight, 3.2 miles, and Phil, you yourself traveled this straight one time at better than 217 miles an hour. But there's a kink and a hump, and therein lies some danger here.
About two-thirds of the way down the circuit is a right-hand dog leg that can be taken at the top speed that the car has. So it's a job getting through it. You end up going through Mouzon turn, which is the slowest part of the circuit. In other words, you're going from about 200 miles an hour down to 25 miles an hour, more or less, around this right-hand bend. On the right, leaving that turn, you'll find the signaling huts, where all the teams have their team managers down there that are giving signals to the cars as they go by, mainly because it's a nice slow place for the drivers to be able to see signaling.
Now you accelerate back into speed through a couple of smaller right-hand turns, then into a severe left-hand turn called Indianapolis.
It's called Indianapolis, I suppose, because it probably was brick at one time. It's a left-hand bend. It's got a bit of banking to it. After leaving Indianapolis, a short straightaway to a right-hand turn called Arnage, about the second slowest turn on the circuit, a little bit faster than Mouzon.
Then into a straight and down into some very subtle but very dangerous rights and lefts at Maison Blanche or White House.
White House has been the scene of many a dramatic incident here at Le Mans in past years. After leaving White House, another short straightaway, and you arrive at the Ford chicane, which was put into effect a year ago.
Ford chicane is a quick left and a quick right. Back onto the pit straight does two things: slows traffic through the pit straight and also thins it out just a little bit, which makes the pit straight the safest it has ever been, because you will see there is no retaining wall between the traffic and the pit area. There's also an escape road at the Ford chicane. So that is the way the permanent circuit of Sark looks in graphic form. That is where the 24 hours of Le Mans is held. It is a place where thrills and terror are constant companions. And we are now racing in the night hours as you watch it live. The satellites from France, the first three cars are all Porsches. A French car, a Matra, is running fourth. An American-made car, but nurtured by the John Wire engineering of Britain, is in fifth place. And we will continue with our coverage of the 24 hours of Le Mans in just a moment.
Forestry used to be a waiting game, but no more. America needs more wood, today, tomorrow, and beyond. Now Weyerhaeuser's found a way to actually speed up the forest. First, we cultivate the land, plant young super trees, fertilize, and thin the forest. Result, 1/3 more wood per acre, per year, forever. It's called high-yield forestry. Even Mother Nature likes the idea. So the next time someone says we're running out of trees, tell them about Weyerhaeuser high-yield forestry. Weyerhaeuser, working on tomorrow's ideas today.
Just moments ago, Chris Economaki talked with some of the drivers who will be running in the 37th endurance race at Le Mans. Here are their thoughts and comments.
What is Le Mans to you, Ralph Stommel and number 40 Porsche, and the fastest qualifier?
Le Mans is a very hard race for me, and the 917 Porsche too.
What is Le Mans to you, David Hobbs, car number 7 Ford GT40?
Well, it's a long and rather boring race.
What is Le Mans to you, Joe Bonnier, Lola number 2?
Long, boring hole, I'd say. It's a test for the car to see if it can stay together for 24 hours. The driver has very little to do with it.
What is Le Mans to you, Chris Economaki, Ferrari driver and former winner, number 19?
I think I can sum it up by saying it's just a very, very long race.
Porsche, Ferrari, Ford, Renault, they're all getting ready to take a run at the biggest prize in all endurance racing, Le Mans. This is perhaps the toughest moment for some of the drivers. Phil Hill, you tried it 16 times. You won it 3 times.
I only finished 3 times.
What does it feel like at this point?
It's not too bad, you know. You're supposed to be able to look forward to the fact that it is a 24-hour event, and about the worst thing in the world you could ever do would be to get all excited right at this point. It is exciting, of course, but not in the same sense that a sprint race is.
Starting the car, though, is certainly, from a morale point of view, a very important thing right here.
That it is.
What about it? Well, the adrenaline glands have to be controlled a little bit so that one might control that starter and accelerator a little better, huh?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, here you just try to control your whole being so that you don't do something stupid at the start that'll put you out in the 20th hour, maybe.
As we saw at Sebring earlier on ABC's Wide World of Sports, we had a false start there, a false Le Mans start. But this is the event that started it all, and I certainly doubt seriously we will have a false start here.
Well, the drivers are in position right now, and I don't know what they're going to do today, but generally speaking, here at Le Mans, somehow or another, they step off at the drop of the flag in a way that would put the Rockettes at Radio City to shame. Believe me, they...
Historically, this year at least, one of the quickest starters of all time has been Joe Siffert. He'll be driving a Porsche. It'll be interesting to see whether or not Joe Siffert again is the first man to get inside his car.
Joe's pretty quick at these Le Mans starts.
He practices that little 3 hops that leads himself to the door, to the entryway of the car, and then has a set routine that he goes through.
There goes the start. They're at the cars. Some of them are already in. They've got a big job in there. They've got to fasten up a very complicated harness. So the first one has started. It's a Porsche, and it's off. 1, 2, 3, Porsche's gone. Siffert, in the only open Porsche, is second, going up the hill towards Dunlop Bridge. 1 Ferrari's off. No incident at the start. There are still several cars sitting on the line down there. One of the John Wyer Fords got off to a very slow start. I can't see the number yet at this point. Here he comes by. It's Jacky Ickx. Got a very slow start. Here comes another car. It's a Porsche. All right, the first cars are already on their way down the Bolzon straight. It's difficult to see what the numbers are. We know that it has to be a Porsche because a number of them got off first.
Rolf Stroberlin, who was the fastest qualifier with a new course record here at Le Mans at 3:22.9, was the first man off, and he went away like a shot.
Joe Siffert was right behind him in the only open Porsche.
So it is the 917 with its movable foils that created quite a controversy. Nico Steinerman and the Porsche Works team won their argument with the organizers at Le Mans, and they are running today with movable foils, despite the FIA that they would not be allowed.
There's the 2 lead cars over the hump at the end of the straight. Around the Bolzon turn now.
There they gear down to about
a little bit there.
25 miles an hour, and here's where they get their first information.
Well, I doubt if you got any information on that lap because there wasn't much to say.
Drive it straight, Rolf. We look at it as ORTF, French television, gives us the picture from an aircraft as we head down toward the Indianapolis turn with the lead car, Porsche number 14, Rolf Stroberlin driving. Car 17, a Ferrari. I believe Sam Posey is in that car, Sharon, Connecticut, as they move off through the Bolzon turn, the slowest part of the course, moving down a straightaway. And this is certainly one of the most exciting moments for a lot of these fellas because some of them have not been here too many times, but it's also a time when they must be careful, Phil.
Well, it's the first lap is certainly a time that you want to be careful because there's a lot of excitement and, you know, let's face it, it's 24 hours. It's the last thing in the world you'd ever want to do would be to goof at a time like this.
As they move down toward Maison Blanche, Ralph Stromelin, who had the fastest qualifying time, was the first man off the starting grid, and he was away first and is going to lead the field. He's
got a tremendous lead at this point. You can hardly see that. Well, the second place cars must be back a couple of 100 yards back there.
Through the Ford chicane. And Ralph Stromelin in the Porsche 917, the vehicle produced out of the computer, has the lead at the end of lap number 1. The white 917 Porsche, and when you check the history of Le Mans, you'll find no Porsche listed. We have trouble. We have trouble out at Maison Blanche. See the smoke billowing. There is a problem. There we hear the sirens. There's indication, perhaps, of a pileup out in that very treacherous, difficult, troublesome area of the White House.
There's a tremendous amount of black smoke down there, Keith. It looks like there must be a big gasoline fire.
Trying to check the field as they came by, I did not see Porsche number 10. I did not see Ferrari number 19.
Yeah, but he's got a pretty, you know, he wasn't that far up. There's a white car in there. You can.
Well, that's the way it was this afternoon, Phil. And we, of course, know the story of what happened at this hour as we move well past the 10 o'clock hour and past the 1/3 mark at Le Mans. The man killed was the owner and driver of Porsche number 10, a 917, John Wolfe, 32-year-old from Great Britain. The story as we had it was he wrecked his car hitting guardrails and caused, because of the wreckage scattering onto the track, caused Chris Ammon's gas tank to be ruptured, and that exploded. To get a more direct line on the story, let's go to Chris Economaki with Chris Amon.
Thank you, Keith. And here with me is Chris Amon, the 1966 winner of this very race, who lasted less than one full lap. A very spectacular accident, leaving Maison Blanche eliminated his Ferrari. The Porsche hit the rail. Chris, then what happened?
Pieces of his car bounced back across the road, and in fact I ran over his fuel tank, which was already on fire, and this set mine on fire, and I had to abandon mine while it was still moving. In fact, it was better to get out than stay there. My car, you know, was out of the race, not too badly burned. Fortunately, I got it out very quickly, but that was the end of the race.
Chris, I understand there was fire in the cockpit with you. How did you get through it, and why aren't you burned?
Well, I had some very good protective clothing on, and it certainly did the job. I've got a little singed eyebrows, and I feel like I've got some sunburn on my face, but nothing serious at all.
Well, there you hear direct from Chris Amon, who was the top-rated Ferrari driver in the race today, was out in that tragic first-lap accident. Now back topside to Keith Jackson.
Thank you very much, Chris. And we'll have more from Le Mans in just a moment.
Winds Charge. Made to do more for your car's engine. Winds Charge, a smooth, honey-thick liquid. Charge restores compression, stops excessive oil burning, quiets noisy engines. But in addition, Charge effectively fights friction and wear because only Charge contains Win's famous friction proofing. Charge also contains antioxidant agents to keep engines cleaner. And Charge provides protection against combustion acids to reduce corrosion damage and costly repairs. Win's Charge, made to do more for your car's engine. Where you get gas or service, get total power. Get Charge. Made by Win Oil Company, the world's leading additive company. Switch to charge.
This is Keith Jackson along with Phil Hill and Chris Economaki. In France, the 24-hour Le Mans. We have another great weekend of sports. Two of the world's great sports spectacles, in fact, to be seen live and in color this weekend on ABC. The U.S. Open being played at the Champions Course in Houston, Texas. Miller Barber has a two-shot lead over Bob Rosberg. Dean Beeman and Chuck Coody are tied for third, and that is coming up later today on ABC. Night racing at Le Mans. Phil Hill. The afternoon hours wear on and wear on, and I guess perhaps you even wait for the night. But let us go back to the afternoon, the moments after the tragic race in which John Wolfe was killed, and there is half of the vaunted Ferrari racing team, number 19, and the car many thought would really contest the Porsches, but it lay crippled quickly.
Chris Economaki was certainly a lucky boy to get out of that without that much trouble.
Incredible.
Right in the midst of flames and all.
It has been and here is a moment in which everybody was literally stunned as Rico Steinemann in Porsche number 14, when he had the lead in the third lap, missed the Ford chicane.
Under the new regs, he's going to have to go into the pits and stop here. You'll see it.
Right, he has to wait until the road marshal gets him back out into the pit area, pull into the pits, and shut off his engine. Now, at Le Mans, you are not allowed to put your car in reverse at any time. There is no such thing as a reverse gear. Once he had stopped his engine, the course was clear, then he was allowed to rejoin the traffic. Joe Siffert, car number 20, assumed the lead. And, Phil, I know that you were very high on that Porsche 908.
Well, there he goes. He wasn't that far behind, did a little bit of a detour.
What do those movable ailerons do, Rico?
Well, the rough description is they keep it down on the road and prevent it from flying.
So it's a very dangerous thing to remove these from the car.
It is, because they're a basic design feature of the car. Once you've designed this car, in order to use these movable ailerons, you can't just take them away like that. It's not like on a Formula One car where they put some wings about 3 feet higher than the car, and they were never an integral part of the car.
Rico Steinemann, the team manager of the Porsche factory team, commenting on the movable ailerons that were permitted after all by the organizers of Le Mans. It was a great point of interest in that the Porsche team was almost pulled out of the race, at least the 917s, the cars with the ailerons specifically built into them. But the Porsche factory team won their point, Phil.
Also, they were the most valuable cars that they had as far as them being the first of the new 12-cylinder cars.
So here's the way it looks right now. It is Porsche, 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 followed by the French Matra in 4th place, and Ford, John Wyers Ford, is 5th. Matra is 6th, Porsche is 7th, and the Ferrari has dropped back to 9th. That's the way it stands at this moment in the 24 hours of Le Mans.
New cars are going up to 6,000 miles between oil changes. But the detergents in oil that clean your engine usually break down before 6,000 miles. CD2 makes a concentrated detergent that replaces the cleaning power your oil loses. CD2 between oil changes keeps your engine clean and running new miles longer. And if you have a car that burns oil, you need protection against low oil pressure, smoking, and power loss. CD2 makes another additive for these higher mileage cars, and it works great. What we're saying is, no one additive is right for every car. It takes two. One for high mileage cars, one for low mileage cars. CD2 makes both. It could save you a lot of money in the long run, and in the short run, too.
This is Keith Jackson along with Phil Hill and Chris Economaki. We are live right now from Le Mans, France, the running of the 24 hours of Le Mans, and here's the way it stands. It is Porsche 1, 2, 3, Porsche 12, 23, and 22. A French Matra is in 4th place. Fords are 5th and 6th, And it is Jacky Ickx and Jackie Oliver in Ford number 6. That's the car that won here last year. And the Ford is hanging right in there, Phil, as Porsche makes a big run at its first victory at Le Mans.
Very, very strong right now. The Matra in 4th place. Also, they were in 2nd place last year, too, late in the race. The Fords have been playing it really cool, both of them.
As we saw earlier on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the Ford laid back in the pack at Sebring and won after 12 hours over a very rough course. So the Ford is very much in it, but it is Porsche 1, 2, 3, and a French Matra 4. Incidentally, a note of interest here at Le Mans, Jean-Claude Killy, driving an Alpine Renault, is now running in 21st position, his first try in the 24 hours of Le Mans. As the night wears on, and as the 9th hour approaches, Phil Hill, is the fatigue factor now starting to become a problem?
Oh, it shouldn't yet. We're not that far along yet, Keith. Morning is going to start being, you're going to have to start looking forward to what's going to happen in the real middle of the night soon. And those hours between maybe 2 and 5 are usually the worst around here. I don't think there's going to be any fog. From the way the weather was today, it looks like it's going to be pretty good. But, you know, you never know.
And we'll continue right after this timeout.
Hey, look at us now. We've got the winners and how. Lincoln Mercury leads the way.
Lincoln Mercury leads the way for 1969 with the all-new Marquis, the most dramatically styled motor car since the Continental Mark III. Marquis brings a completely new look to medium-priced luxury cars. 2- and 4-door Bromes, richly appointed convertibles, and the world's most fashionable station wagon, Marquis Colony Park. If Continental made a wagon, this would be it. Marquis, Marquis, Marquis. Each one a beautiful reason why
Lincoln Mercury leads the way.
Next Saturday, you'll see another live color telecast here on ABC's Wide World of Sports from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, one of the outdoor track season's outstanding meets, the NCAA Championships. In the field events, Olympic gold medalist Bob Seagren of the pole vault, the man who does things backwards, Dick Fosbury, in the high jump. You'll also be seeing Mexico City Olympic medalists Lee Evans and John Carlos, along with a world record holder in the mile, Jim Ryan, in his final collegiate appearance. In addition to this outstanding track and field meet, we'll feature a preview of the upcoming heavyweight championship fight between Joe Frazier and Jerry Quarry, the NCAA Track Championships, next week on ABC's Wide World of Sports, and a preview of the upcoming heavyweight championship fight between Joe Frazier and Jerry Quarry. We are right now standing as we approach the 11th hour in France, and Porsches are running 1, 2, 3 in the 24 hours of Le Mans, but here is a major change, Phil Hill. Fords, 2 Fords have now moved up into 4th and 5th place. The 2 French Matras have dropped back to 6th and 7th.
Getting very, very interesting. Those Fords, in my opinion, are going to be very, very much there tomorrow.
We're having a little bit of trouble with our transmission across the Atlantic, and we are looking at some tape footage, videotape footage, just as dusk started to settle in today here at Le Mans. Number 12 Porsche heading into the pits right now, and of course this is one of the 917s running very slowly. Number 12 being driven by Vic Elford and Dick Atwood, a pair of Britons.
We've got a clock on him now, on the lead car. 2 minutes, 6, 7 seconds. Heading down towards Indianapolis now, it looks like to me. Yeah, that's that little bend just before the bend that Keeley had his little incident on in practice. Passing another car. Don't know whether we'll be able to see him all the way around. I don't remember.
There you see the move through the left turn, the Indianapolis turn. But right now, the lead car, Porsche, runs as smooth as silk. with Porsche 23, Porsche 22 third, and a pair of Fords, number 6 and 7, in 4th and 5th. And Ford number 6 was the car that won it here last year.
In this workaday world, timing is very important. Especially when you're out to make a great beer like Schlitz. With Schlitz, time is of the essence. When that moment comes to enjoy the great taste of Schlitz, you won't be thinking about the months it takes to brew and age every golden mellow drop. The long, careful golden age of Schlitz is what makes it America's choicest premium beer. Quality like this can't be rushed in the brewing. But we have nothing against someone speeding up the delivery. After all,
when you're out of Schlitz,
Bad timing.
you're out of beer. Schlitz.
As we continue our coverage via satellite from France of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, here is Chris Economaki in the pits.
Had an opportunity to poll the pit managers. We talked with Rico Steinemann of Porsche. He said, despite our troubles, we'll keep running. David York, the Britisher who runs the Ford team, says, everything is according to plan. Mike Parks, the British Ferrari team manager, says that Ferrari is running comfortably. And the Renault Alpine manager, Jean Redillet, had perhaps the best quote. He said, the race is just beginning. Matra, Cloud Leguzek, said, we are bothered only by small things. And by that he means the taillights that keep going out on the Matras because of vibration problems. Back to you, Keith Jackson.
And we'll have more from the 24 Hours of Le Mans in just a moment.
Why let this year's vacation ride on worn tires? Now, during Firestone's 4th of July tire sale, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4 White Stripe Deluxe Champion tires for as low as $85. 4 new tires, $85. And look at the tires you'll get. Firestone Deluxe Champions, America's new car tires, with exclusive super tough rubber for long mileage. Latest wraparound tread for safe, sure handling. Plus Firestone's super weld construction for a smooth, quiet ride. So why let this year's vacation ride on worn tires? Get 4 White Stripe Firestone Deluxe Champion tires for as low as $85. Now, at all Firestone stores and participating Firestone dealers.
Nearing the end of the 9th hour of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, it is Porsche, 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 Ford, Ford, Matra, Matra, Porsche, Ferrari. That's the way they're running now, and Phil Hill. The Porsches came with a squadron trying to win their first Le Mans. It looks like they've got a decent chance.
Looks like they've got a very good chance, Keith, but their squadron is somewhat reduced. Ford, in my opinion, is in a very, very strong position. We can't forget Matra either.
We will have the final results of the 24 Hours of Le Mans for you tomorrow during our coverage of the final round of the U.S. Open Golf Tournament, which is being played this weekend at the Champions Course in Houston, Texas. The leader on lap 142 is Porsche number 12.
You saw the start of the race, and you saw coverage of the nighttime action live on Wide World of Sports last week. When it got to be Sunday afternoon, however, an impossible situation had developed. 2 cars, a Ford and a Porsche, were battling it out just seconds apart, with the lead changing hands several times in the last couple of hours. This was impossible. It had only happened one time before in the history of the race, back in 1933, when the great Tazio Nuvolari won the race by less than a second. This time on the scene for Wide World of Sports as the cars near the finish were Keith Jackson, Phil Hill, and Chris Economaki. Here is their report on the end of that long, long race.
As they come thundering through the Ford chicane, it is the blue car, the Ford GT40 from Great Britain, leading the white Porsche. This could be the last lap. It could also be next to the last lap at this point because of the vital time factor, Phil Hill. You just don't know exactly where you are.
We just all of a sudden noticed that it looks like they are going to cross the line either just before the 2 o'clock time or just after, which makes it practically impossible for anybody to let these two fellows know whether there's going to be one lap or whether there's going to be 2 laps left. You know, it's a big deal. There's a lot of strategy going on here right now between who is going to do what on the final lap. No one knows.
And the battle between Jacky Ickx in the blue car and Hans Hermann in the white Porsche has been going like this for the better part of 2 hours, the final 2 hours of the 24 hours of Le Mans. In other words, an endurance race has almost turned into a 24-hour sprint. And I understand that Chris Economaki in the pits has a new specter to cast across this brilliant finish.
Right, but the late development here in the pits is that David York, team manager for the Ford, is concerned about petrol. He says it will be very tight. He has his fingers crossed, and he threw this at me. He said Porsche should be very tight as well.
So it would be absolutely incredible if one of these cars should run out of gas. And now watch the drafting that's going on as Hans Hermann and the Porsche takes the lead on the Bolton straight.
Yeah, but I think he's done it too soon. He did it so soon and so slowly that now Ickx can get back by again. Look, he should have stayed back there and got a real run at it. Ickx is back by again, and now there's not enough time for the Porsche to redo it to him because the kink will be coming up here in a minute. His right hand flat out 200-mile-an-hour turn for the faster car, 195 or something like that. There they go through it.
It is the blue Ford, John Wyer's Ford, the very same car that won here last year that is holding the lead right now. Only a few components changed in it. This is the Mulsanne corner, the slowest portion on the 8.36-mile road course here at Le Mans.
Well, the question here, and it seems to me that Porsche is going to have an awful lot of trouble passing the Ford between Mulsanne turn, what we just saw a minute ago, and the finish line, because the road holding definitely seems to be in the factor of the Ford and Jacky Ickx, how much of which, we don't really know. Jacky Ickx is a fantastic driver. Not that Hermann isn't good himself, but Ickx is really terrific, and that Ford really seems to have an edge on cornering.
I think we'll get a fair sample of that right here, Phil, as they head up into the Indianapolis turn, the only left-hand turn on the course.
Well, we'll see here. I think the place you're really going to see the difference, if there is any, is between, maybe at White House, where they're going really fast.
Around Arnage, which is almost a 90-degree turn, and they'll run down the straight into the Maison Blanche or White House area, which is very tough and where the roadability of the lead car may prove itself out.
I don't see how the Porsche is ever going to get him now, unless, well, I just don't see it. Here they are approaching White House. It looked like another car was in the picture there. Let's see.
And keeping an eye on the clock, I don't believe this is going to be the last lap. They're going to have to make one more, because I think if they continue at this pace, both of them will flash over that start-finish line in front of 2 o'clock, which means they will have to go around one more time.
It's going to be awful close. Here's where the accident was yesterday, where one of the Porsches and one of the Ferraris, 50% of the Ferrari team out.
Here's Jacky Ickx. There is no finish flag up as they come whistling toward the Ford chicane. But Ickx, in getting through that chicane first, knew he could have won the race had the checkered flag been up. But it is not out. They'll have to go around one more time, because 2 o'clock will not happen until they are somewhere down in the Mulsanne straight area.
Now we'll have to see whether one or the other of them has given away his hand as to what he intended doing on the last lap. There's a strong possibility that they both had a particular plan that they've been studying for hours now as to just what they were going to do and where they thought they had the advantage to get something over the other one. Now, look, that Porsche, even though he's back quite a distance now, is still well within the range of getting a good tow from the Ford going down the Mulsanne straight. We'll see what happens now.
The Porsche is the lighter car and was thought to be faster. However, both these cars have been running within just fractions of their maximum performance. Their fastest time trials here over the last 3 or 4 hours, literally.
Let's not forget that the Porsche's time was only 2 seconds faster than the Ford in practice. And, they're both running right up here. Here he is. He's getting ready to pass now. He's done it. I think he's done it too soon, because surely the Ford will be able to latch onto him and do it again now.
It's certainly important to remember this is 3.2 miles straightaway, and there's also a kink and a hump toward the end of it. Now let's watch Jacky Ickx, the blue car.
He's going to do it. He's done it. Look at that. He's actually gone on by him, and I don't think there's going to be enough time for the Porsche to repass him again. If there's any, here it comes. He's had it. He's had it. The road's blocked. They're now both going to have to stay over the left side of the road in order to get through the kink, which should be, there it is right now. There's no way that Porsche can get by the Ford. It doesn't break any better the Ford. We've already seen that for hours now. He cannot get him before the moves on turn.
Jacky Ickx, one of the young lions. In fact, I think you hold him in the highest regard, Bill.
Jacky Ickx is fantastic. He's shown tremendous prowess right from the time he first appeared on the scene. He's done brilliantly ever since.
Jacky Ickx is taking the final turn. He will take the final 2 hours. There had been some talk that they might make a driver's change, putting Jackie Oliver into the cockpit, but not so.
Amazing thing is that this Ford, if it manages to win this race today, is the same doggone car that won it last year.
And there were a squadron of 7 factory Porsches brought here. Only one is now running, and it at the moment looks destined for second place. And the one jewel in endurance racing that Porsche has never claimed looks like it may elude them again. But again, remember, there was the factor of fuel. Fuel. Will there be enough to go all the way? And if there is, it seems highly likely that Jacky Ickx is going to win it as they come off Ornard.
Well, from now on, this whole darn track is nothing but road holding and acceleration and speed. The White House are the only critical turns that rest now between the outside of the Ford chicane, that rest between the finish line and these fellows right now.
And we know this is the last lap because it is now well beyond the hour of 2 p.m. The race starting 2 hours earlier in 1969 because of national elections.
Here they come through there. Look at that. Ickx had to pinch it in there tight at the last minute.
Here they come toward the checkered flag.
The Ford's got it. The Ford's got it. There's no earthly way the Porsche can do it.
Ford, the very same car that won in 1968, wins the 1969 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Oh, fantastic. It's really unbelievable. Boy, he had a mighty hard spell at the wheel this time. He drove the whole thing within seconds of the maximum time that he ever drove in practice. And at Le Mans, that is really something.
Now, as Jacky Ickx and Jackie Oliver take their victory rides, let's go downstairs to Chris Economaki.
I feel as though I might have won Le Mans. I'm walking alongside the victor. Jackie, you're up there. How's the weather up there?
Well, it's wet. I think it's raining champagne.
Jackie, was it a tough one for you?
Yeah, it was very tough, especially at night with the fog. I'm very pleased with Jackie. I thought he drove extremely well under the pressure at the end of the race there.
Do you think if he'd run across the track at the start, he'd have won by a little bit more?
I think so. He lost that 10 seconds we needed when he walked across in protest for the Le Mans start. But there you are, a medley exciting race for the spectators.
All right, there you have it from Jackie Oliver on the shoulders of his mechanics. Chris Economaki down here in the crowd. Back to you, Keith Jackson.
Once again, the final order of finish. A Ford GT40 entered by John Wyer of England, winning for a second successive year. Jacky Ickx and Jackie Oliver driving to the victory, just seconds ahead of a Porsche 908 with Hans Hermann and Gerard Larousse driving. Number 3, another Ford GT40, remarkable automobiles with David Hobbs and Michael Halewood driving. The winning car and the pursuing Porsche averaged better than 130 miles an hour for 24 hours and traveled in excess of 3,100 miles, and that's a little farther than driving from New York to Los Angeles. And now this is Keith Jackson along with Phil Hill and Chris Economaki saying adieu from the 37th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We'll return to our live coverage of the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships in Knoxville, Tennessee in just a moment.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This has been ABC's Wide World of Sports. Brought to you by Firestone and more than 60,000 Firestone high-performance tire centers. By Schlitz. Taste the golden age of Schlitz, and you'll know why they say, when you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer. And by your Lincoln Mercury dealer, with the winning idea cars that lead the way.